Now our video is live in YouTube also. Let's begin with a small prayer.
There shall be showers of blessing. This is the promise of love. There shall be seasons refreshing, sent from the Savior above. Showers of blessing, showers of blessing we need. Mercy drops round us are falling, and for the showers we plead. There shall be showers of blessing, precious reviving again, over the hills and the valleys, sound of abundance of rain. Showers of blessing, showers of blessing we need. Mercy drops round us are falling, but for the showers we plead. There shall be showers of blessing, send them upon us, our Lord. Grant to us now a refreshing, come and now honor thy word. Showers of blessing, showers of blessing we need. Mercy drops round us are falling, but for the showers we plead. There shall be showers of blessing, oh that today they might fall. Now as to God we're confessing, now as on Jesus we call. Showers of blessing, showers of blessing we need. Mercy drops round us are falling, but for the showers we plead. But for the showers we
Good morning, everybody. I'm Father Sobi, sitting in the Marian College Audiovisual Recording Studio. Marian College Kuttikkanam Autonomous is a prestigious autonomous institution in the state of Kerala, India. Marian has a unique and enviable history that it gained autonomy in a span of 20 years. Marian started with just 3 undergraduate programs in the year 1995, and at present, the college offers 20 programs, including doctoral programs. The college imparts information with the intention of the right character formation of the students, eventually achieving their holistic transformation. Department of Communication and Media Studies of Marian College Kuttikkanam Autonomous is the youngest departments in the college, which was established in the year 2017. The department offers MA in Communication and Media Studies, aiming at encouraging a habit of practice-based learning, endowing the students with a rich subset of talents that would help them excel in the field of mass media, public relations, new media, event management, and advertising. We have been constantly thriving to host vision to everyone. This is our second international webinar after the much appreciated webinar based on global perspective of journalism in the COVID era. The participants will get the e-certificate only if they fill the feedback form that is shared in between the program. Now I invite Mr. Ashwin K.V. Nambudiri, our faculty member, for the welcome speech.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Father. Good morning, one and all. My name is Ashwin KV, and I'm a faculty member of the Department of Communication and Media Studies, Marian College, Kuttikkanam, Autonomous. Well, it is my privilege and pleasure to welcome you all to the second edition of the international webinar, this time on post-COVID challenges in film industry. I'm sure most of you have been waiting to listen to the key speakers, and so I'm directly heading to my duty. Firstly, we have Ms. Dalia Alic, who is a European film producer, festival programmer, and former artistic director of South Asian film festivals. Hailing from Croatia, she has been collaborating with startups, organizations, and festivals to achieve social and ecological sustainability by using innovative tools, technologies, and creative industries. Hearty welcome to this session, ma'am.
Thank you.
Now we have Mr. Sunil Kumar, who is currently serving as the Deputy Head, Technical Documentation and Archival Division, ISRO Trivandrum. He also acts as the honorary faculty in many media institutes and an honorary technical expert in many media broadcast channels. Warm welcome to you, dear sir.
Thank you very much.
Then we have Dr. C.S. Venkiteswaran. He is an Indian film critic, professor, documentary filmmaker, and writer from Chalakudy, India, who writes predominantly in English and Malayalam. He won the National Film Award for the Best Film Critic in 2009. Welcome, dear sir.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning.
Professor Madhu Eravankara, former head of the Department of Film Studies, Tunjathirthachan Malayalam University, Tirur, India, is a film director, critic, scholar, jury member, and writer from Mavelikara, India. He is a regular contributor to the national and international journals on cinema. He has won the National Film Award for his writings on cinema, titled as Malayala Cinemayum Sahityavum. Welcome, dear Madhu, sir. Our dear speakers, we are delighted to have you with us today. Every discussions demand a person who holds the path of the session out of deviation. Here we have Professor M. Vijayakumar, Director, Department of Communication and Media Studies, Marian College, Kuttikkanam, Autonomous, India, and former HOD, Department of Journalism, Kerala University, to moderate this session. With immense pleasure, I extend my hearty welcome to you, dear sir. I also welcome Father Sobi Thomas Kanalil, coordinator of MCMS department, who has been the master coordinator and the official admin of this event. Hearty welcome, dear Father. With a mind full of happiness, I hereby welcome my dearest colleagues, Dr. Michael Putantara, Mr. Joby NJ, Ms. Elsina Joseph, and Mr. Vishnu to share the joy of this fruitful interaction. And finally, with much love, I welcome all the dearest participants to this wonderful event. Thank you so much for the support you have been extending with us. And now over to our dear Vijayakumar sir. Thank you.
Vijayakumar sir, please unmute your mic. Vijayakumar sir, please unmute your mic. It's not audible. It is in the left bottom. Hello.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, a hearty welcome to all the key speakers as well as the participants who are attending this webinar. COVID pandemic has crippled life on earth. In many places, people cannot go out. I'm one of the one of those persons who cannot go out because I'm 65 plus. So government has restricted my movement. I'm sitting at home in Trivandrum. And Trivandrum is a place which is declared as a COVID containment area. So there are many tragedies occurring in Kerala in the recent past, last week. We had the flood. There were landslips in most places. And there was a plane accident in Kozhikode. So all this is crippling life in Kerala. So I'm talking at a time when the cinema houses remain closed for the last 5 months. It may be the same everywhere on the globe. And I have heard that in China, they have started opening the theaters, film theaters, but the attendance was very bleak. The film industry in India is ranked as the 4th in the world. And India is one of the largest film production centers. Our box office returns last year was 140 billion Indian rupees. And worldwide box office returns last year was 340 million US dollars. And the Netflix revenue is 328 million US dollars. So this rich industry is collapsing due to the COVID pandemic. And now some producers are compelled to jump over to another bandwagon called the OTT platform, over the top platform. And some Indian films are now being released through the Netflix as well as the Prime. Okay. So this is the situation. And I think the film industry is on the downside. Can we save this industry from this downside and lift the film industry? There are new technologies being evolved in the last many years. And I think it is not going to be a theatrical audience. It is going to be a home audience everywhere. And many homes in India, the rich homes in India, one room is converted into a theater, home theater. Okay. And now I invite a very techno-savvy person, Shri P.V. Sunil Kumar. He is the documentation officer in India's space program. He is in the BSSC, ISRO, Trivandrum. He's basically a cinematographer. He had this cinematography course from the Chennai Adayar Film Institute. I'm inviting Mr. Sunil Kumar to express his views. He has a presentation, express his views on the state of film industry everywhere in the world and particularly in Kerala. Over to Mr. Sunil Kumar.
Welcome, sir. So we can the presentation can be played from your side.
Yeah, I shall do it. Just 1 minute, sir.
Okay.
Sorry. Yes, sir.
Welcome all participants and the very, very learned resource persons from the media and the film industry. I welcome every one of you to the post-COVID-19 challenges in film industry, the webinar organized by the Marian Kuttikkanam. And my responsibility here will be, I'll be just discussing on will OTT platforms, the over-the-top platforms, help the industry, or will cinema become a second cousin? I'll be discussing on mainly on technical aspects. Next, please. The ongoing COVID-19 lockdown has impacted several industries across the world. However, one of the most hit industry is the film and television industry. With cinema theaters in India and over the world shut since mid-March, and the likelihood of opening anytime soon is bleak due to the spread of the novel coronavirus. Filmmakers are now looking at different methods to release their movies. So several producers have decided to release their film directly on the over-the-top platform rather than the cinema theaters. So now let us examine, will digital first or the digital release on OTT emerge as a new trend? Will OTT help the industry or will cinema become next to OTT? Will film industry revive with more technological vigor and come back? Will the will this pave way for a new amalgamated technology for film release? The film industry, next please. The film industry is constantly evolving and growing, incorporating new techniques, disposing some of the outdated techniques, and revisiting trends to bring even older techniques back to film. Over the years, so many challenges have been faced by the film industry. Firstly, when within the film, when various film formats like the 16mm, 35mm, 70mm, when all these formats came, the technicians themselves found it very difficult to adapt it to the newer technology. And the budget also was very becoming huge. Then threat from the introduction of VCRs and DVDs. The introduction of television media also was a challenge to the big screen, but this television was later sweet named as a small screen, becoming a friend of big screen. Then with the advent of the digital films, again cinema faced a major challenge. The switching over from the analog celluloid film to that of the digital film has put up so many technical barriers have to be cleared for the so far working technicians in the field and for the viewers also. Then came the streaming television like the cable TV, internet TV, the internet protocol TV, and OTT platforms. And again, the cinema industry, will definitely come across so many other technological trends, which are some of them are already in the field, like the computer graphics, the visual effects, and the augmented reality, the virtual reality, the mixed reality, and the extended realities. And the very, very latest one is the Unreal engines are called the, or we can call it as the virtual production itself. Next, please. So now we will come to see, since the time is very much limited, I may not be able to talk much on all these technologies. But anyway, my part, I have been, the part assigned to me is to talk on the OTT platforms. So COVID-19 has made OTT as the bridge to overcome the difficulty of viewing entertainment contents owing to the social distance. Because of social distancing, people are, the cinema halls are not open. Since mid 1990s, the digital television content delivery via internet has started in India. Streaming television is the digital distribution of television media or content over the internet. It had so many different names called the internet television, the internet protocol television, the web television, and now the over-the-top media services. All these are the siblings of one mother, the streaming television. Each one of them have the same genetics and what we call as the technological architecture, and some have undergone mutation technically. So OTT, over the top, is a means of providing television or film content over the internet at the request and to suit the requirements of the individual consumer or the customer. Next, please. When we take up the OTT, the content provider will be either a studio or a channel or an independent service, and the transmission network will be the public internet or local telecom, and the display devices run into many. You have the LED, OLED, smart TVs, iPods, mobiles, and now old non-smart TVs can also be converted into smart TVs by the use of Fire Sticks, and Fire Sticks are already available in the market to convert any TV into a smart TV. Next, please. If you see across the OTT platform subscription revenue in India, there are currently about 40 providers of the over-the-top media services in India, which distribute streaming media over the internet. Roughly 80% of the OTT video consumption in India happens on mobile phones. The OTT subscription revenue in India is currently 22 billion INR and is expected to grow around 74 billion INR by 2024, making India the second biggest market next to United States of America. The OTT users, which stands at 50 million, is expected to reach 1 billion by 2023. These are all the figures pre-COVID status. And when we come to the theater projection, the theater projections are all, from 1900 onwards, we have been depending upon the optical projectors. And till 2000, we are going on with the optical projections. And with the advent of the digital technology, then we went to the digital projectors. Maybe the LCD projectors were introduced with so many variants. And later from 2015 onwards, when the film people felt that they are unable to provide the 4K content over the screen, we went to the laser projectors, or presently the RGB laser projectors. So what next to compete with OTT is the biggest question mark for the theater projections to deal with. Next. If you see the theater screens in India around 2009 to 2019, the small screens or the single screens from 9,600, they have come down to 6,300. Owing to the viewing style of the people of not only adhering to a single film, the multiplex screens have grown from 2009 to 2019. You can see from just 925 multiplex screens in 2009, now India has got 3,200 multiplex screens in India. Next. So now let us see quickly some of what are all the parameters for the best image quality while viewing in a display. This is very, very important when you want to compare which technically, whether your OTT will satisfy you or your cinema viewing will satisfy you. So some of the major parameters regarding the image quality have been determined by the global DCI. It's a Digital Cinema Initiative. And according to their specification, there are on a broad classification, there are 4 things. One is the brightness. The second thing is the contrast. and the third thing is the resolution, and the fourth thing is the very latest thing, HDR. So if you take the brightness, the screen brightness is the light which we perceive from the display screen. It is measured in nits or in foot lombards. So an average movie theater in India, even now, it has got only 50 nits. That means 14 foot lombards. But a pre-HDR TV has got a brightness value of 100 to 400 nits. And the modern TVs, mostly the HDR TVs, have 1,500 nits. And the future TVs, which are going to come into the world, will have nearly around 10,000 nits of brightness. And if you take the contrast is, as you see, is defined as the difference between the luminance to that of the darkest portion which can be seen by the viewer. So a good projection should accommodate the peak white as white and the darkest dark as the dark, darkest black as the black. Next. So next, when we come to the the very latest thing which the entire cinematography field in the digital era is talking about is the high dynamic range, HDR. We have been using SDR, which from the image you can see what is a SDR and the HDR, the difference is. The high dynamic range gives you the darkest portion may be 1, and the peak white may be even 10 lakhs, but even your projector or your screen will reproduce it. And our television screens, they have got infinity to 1. Any number, see, that's what we normally say. Our the best HDR is our eye. Our eye has the best HDR. It has got at the age of 40, it has got somewhere around 30 stops. None of our film cameras have attained to that. Our even film cameras now have attained up to 14 f-stops or up to 20 f-stops. But our eye at a 40 age has got nearly around 30 HDR, and below that it has got more HDRs. And next slide, sir. So then comes the resolution. The resolution is a very major important thing. The number of pixels defines the level of image detail. So the major resolutions which are currently followed in the film industry are 2K, 4K, 8K. And we are going to have 12K and 16K. Till yesterday, a new camera, 12K camera has come in the market, produced by the Black Magic. And I have read the reviews. It's a very good 12K camera. So the resolution, and I just want to say that television sets which the OTT offers, or the OTT content which is being offered, is the minimum standard is 4K. Whereas in almost all our standard theaters, even now they have only 2K, even if the cameraman works on 4K content. Next. Then comes to the OTT versus the theater viewing thing, technically, because aesthetically or other socially, it may have so many differences, but I'm only talking here on only the technical things. If you take up so many parameters are there, if you take the resolution, the home screen through television, here I am taking reference only the television, but your OTT content can even be seen on iPods, laptops, mobile phones, anything. But here the reference I'm taking is only for TV. It's 4K or 8K. So when 8K is down converted into 4K, we have a very good, better image quality. And theater viewing 4K, most of the projectors still now are only 2K. Only recently around the globe, 2,700 theaters, which comprise only 17% of the theaters available in the world, have gone for 4K projectors. And if you take the brightness, it is 1500 nits to 10,000 nits in the home viewing, and in the theater we go for 50 nits as per the minimum required nits suggested by DCI, 14-foot Lamberts. Then the contrast or the HDR, the home screen, we have infinity to 1, and in the theater viewing we have 1 million to 1. And image projection is done through on LCD, LED, and OLED TVs, which works on the incident light or self-illuminating technology. And the LCD in the theater, we have the LCD and the laser projectors, which are through reflected light. And the sound output, theater has got an edge over the home theaters. We can have only maximum up to 1,300 watts, or again depending upon your room dimension. But a theater minimum of 30,000 watts sound you can enjoy. And the dimensional projections, your home viewing is restricted maybe only up to 3D by wearing glasses or without glasses, but the theater viewing offers 3D and up to 9D. Next. So whenever a new technology is introduced, it has to be evaluated on 4 basic parameters broadly. One is the competence, whether the technology is competent enough to better the existing technology, whether it is a standalone technology or it is a supportive technology, or the technology is easy to handle or easy to approach. So the OTT media content reaches home with 4K video viewed in any display device having internet is the most competent factor when you compare the OTT media with theaters. And we take up the social outreach, whether it can reach the remotest areas or restricted to any certain domains, whether it is operated through the gadgets hitherto used or require any new gadgets. So it is estimated, OTT is sent through internet. If you take the picture of India, 50% of the country's population is having internet connections. Next. And if we take up the human resource, whenever the new technology comes, we have to see whether any new human resource have to be developed, or whether the existing human resource will lose their jobs or will have to be replaced, or whether they have to adapt themselves to the new technology by learning new things. So here the answer will be simultaneous existence of both theaters and OTT will only lead to new job creations. And on the revenue aspects, whether the new technology will reduce the overall investment and bring much more profits than the existing, or whether it will be available to a user at a reasonable, affordable cost. So OTT is really available through internet at a very reasonable, affordable cost. And the OTT first release, as far as revenue is concerned, is at best advised for a small budget films rather than the high budget films. So next slide. So now we have what next. So the OTT advantages I have told, I'm summing up: provide variety of platforms for viewing, smart TV, computers, tablets, mobile phones, gaming consoles, and Fire Sticks, and the option to access multiple distributors simultaneously from your mobile phone or any gadget, reaching millions of potential consumers at the minimum cost, available 24/7 and affordable price, and reach out wherever the internet is available. A fixed sum is guaranteed with OTT release with no linkage to the performance of the film. The theater advantages, we have a wow factors there. You have a big screen. Nothing can match a big screen. You have a captivating sound. Nothing can match that captivating sound. And you have so many new technologies called the IMAX, 270-degree 3D image mapping projections. And if you take the dimensional viewing, it goes beyond 9D. And okay, only up to 3D, your eyes are concerned. Then after that, it's all other sensory perceptions. Then the recent conversion to 4K LED walls is the very recent thing. In India, at Delhi and Bombay, two theaters have been converted into LED walls, which have a minimum pitch of 1.5 mm. So now the home television soon will be taken care by the theater. Theater will be leading in as far as the projection is concerned. And viewing with the community ambience, that is the very major thing, community ambience. Then 60 to 70% of the film's overall revenue, it comes from your box office, that is the theater advantage, depending upon the performance of the film. Next slide, sir. So now let me conclude. Will OTT platform be a game changer for the film industry? That is the question before us. About 50 low-budget films were released directly on OTT in India before before COVID. So digital release is not at all a new phenomena for us. It was all small-budget films. And the research shows that even in a post-COVID-19 world, OTT services will continue to dominate. Therefore, the need of the hour is for the key investors to think about the integration or amalgamation of both the technologies. And earlier as well, there were many challenges were faced by the film industry, and during every challenge, it was thought that the industry would perish, but the industry came alive again and again, incorporating the technology within it. And the coexistence of both OTT platforms in the long run is something that we all can foresee in the coming future. So it is merely because of the relevance these two platforms hold in terms of viewers and technical parameters. Let me borrow a famous quotation from veteran filmmaker Shyam Benegal before finishing my presentation. The cinema offers a larger than life experience that cannot be replicated easily by television or OTT platforms. Films can be seen by several means. However, going to the cinema hall adds an important dimension. It becomes a social occasion and a collective experience. There will be a coexistence of both movie theaters and OTT platforms when it comes to movie release. Is the famous quote recently told to the Business Today by May, in the month of May 2020 by veteran Shyam Benegal. So with this small presentation, I conclude, and over to Vijayakumar.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sunil Kumar, for your excellent presentation. That is really, really wonderful. You have presented many data regarding the conversion from the old system of screening to the latest system. But at the same time, you have favored, I think, a community ambience. And that is what Shyam Benegal also said about the collective experience that
Yes,
cinema
sir.
has in the theater. Cinema has in the theaters.
Yes, sir.
That anyway is not going to fade out, even though we have all the facilities within our homes. Hopefully, we will have a new system where the theaters will become vibrant after the COVID pandemic, I hope. And over to a person, Dalia Alic, sitting thousands of miles away from me. I'm from Trivandrum and she is from Croatia. And she's a very young and a dynamic filmmaker, and who is also one of the jury members of the international film circuits, as well as a person who is selecting films for various festivals, artistic director of film festivals. I know I hope will share her experience from the European context of what the film industry is in Europe right now, and what are the challenges that they are going to face. And as a person who has traveled a lot throughout the world, and with your experience in your own country, Croatia, I think you have many things to share with us. And over to hearty welcome, Dalia Alic. Over to Dalia Alic.
Thank you so much. First of all, good morning, and thank you for having me as your speaker. It's really an honor to share my knowledge and my modest experience with your students. I'm amazed with the number of people who are involved right now in our video call. But I will share with you today some bits of European film industry and the way COVID-19 has impacted that, as well as film festivals, film distribution, film production, and so on. So I will try right now to share my screen presentation.
Father Sobi?
Okay, I think I have it.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess this works. Okay, hopefully so. Can you see my presentation?
Yeah, yes, we can.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Thank you. First, what I would like to mention before I start presentation is what I love about Asian culture, especially about South Asian culture. You have beautiful passion and tradition of going to cinemas. And this cinematic culture, you know, going with friends, going with family, constantly watching movies and following what's going on is really, really important. And this is what we're lacking in Europe. You know, sometimes I really wish if I can just take this from your culture and bring it to Croatia, because we have many, many beautiful film festivals, but we are losing the audience. And it's not just the Croatia, it's the whole Europe. We're basically trying to fight with the major giants, for example, like United States and so on. But let me start with my presentation. Okay, so you don't have to remember all this data. This data is just here to show you, to sum up what's happening with European film industry. So we're having beautiful way of financing films. We're having public fundings. We're having beautiful possibilities of collaborations between countries. But we don't have that much revenue growth, I would say. We're not having profit from films as much as, for example, US does have, or Bollywood. And we are losing cinema as well. On the other hand, we have different public funding. We have broadcaster investments, we have production investments and pre-sales as well, which actually gives plenty of opportunities to European filmmakers, especially young ones as well. Okay, so this is a bit of more data. Just to give you example, the amount of money that is being given in different phases of the film production. So we have national funds, we have regional funds. You can apply even for Euroimage European funds, as well as media program. And these schemes are actually allowing you to get additional money for developing your film if you're doing European collaborations. And this is often a highlight for filmmakers outside of Europe. For example, when I was having presentation in Dhaka, students were interested how it works and how you can actually receive money on the European level, as well as what does it mean for international filmmakers, or how international filmmaker from India, Bangladesh, and so on can actually apply for those. So I would suggest to all your students to maybe research a bit and see how maybe in the future collaborations could be possible between Europe and Asia, because there are really plenty of opportunities, and I believe that we must encourage those kind of collaborations. Okay, so now to the production part. What actually happened in European film industry when it comes to production element? So we have here a domino effect that happened. We have closed cinemas. We have projects who needed to be shot, but they had to be frozen, waiting for the lockdown to be over, waiting for the grants, because right now, the shooting is again open for filmmakers in Europe under plenty of restrictions as well. But previously we weren't able to shoot. We even had problems with, of course, some countries, not all, with receiving grants, or the grants weren't as proposed before, and so on. And several productions, as well as cinemas, were being really hit by this pandemic crisis. Especially cinemas, but I will talk about this a bit later. So what producers in Europe decided to do? We have organizations that represent film producers' interest, and we have beautiful European initiatives and European bodies who actually take care about policymaking and regulating the current situation in Europe. I will also talk about this a little bit later, but the action has been made really, really quickly, and we were lucky to have each other in the European Union to see what's happening, to talk with researchers, to talk with professionals, and to do necessary steps to protect not just cinema's distribution, but also filmmakers as well, and the biggest stakeholders in film industry. And it's basically authors, film directors, film cinematographers, editors, and so on. So what next? we have possibility of shooting right now, with restrictions, of course. In some countries, you have to do quarantine in order to be able to shoot and so on. But is this giving any signs of so much needed change in our industry? I believe so. There is a phrase which I really love to use, and it's called audiovisual entrepreneurship. Today, we have to see in films like they're just not artistic project or something that is fully creative. Today, in order to manage all these challenges, we have to think beyond this. We have to see it as some kind of either startup or entrepreneurial path in which we have to oversee what's happening on the market, try to anticipate what will happen, and how to use our knowledge and even business skills to try to get as better things as possible for our projects. Better revenues, better solutions, distribution, collaborations, and so on. And unfortunately, on top of all that, we have a situation that is happening in the world that we just cannot ignore, and it's the climate change. I'm really happy and proud that the European Union has been really taking this into concern. And countries, for example, Belgium, they have already brought beautiful regulations when it comes to the green shooting, let's say so. But right now, due to pandemic situation, most of the policymakers, filmmakers, agencies are trying to reach instant recovery instead of trying to find solutions for a green one that maybe can take some time, but will be more sustainable for our society, our country, and so on. When it comes to the cinema and streaming channels, my dear colleague already explained partially about the streaming and so on. So I will try to be short on this, but it's really, really important. And it's in addition to what I previously said about the beautiful Indian culture of going to cinemas as well. We had unfortunate shutting down of cinemas, partial shutting down of the cinemas in the European Union, 9,000 of them. And it's been projected that the loss that happened for that on the global level was around $5 billion, which is a lot. And luckily, in the May, cinemas were selectively chosen to open, but with restrictions. In my country right now, in Croatia, I believe there's only one cinema that is open right now, which is really a challenging condition for many, many filmmakers and film producers. So here we have affected circle of productions that rely on broadcasters to receive funding, but broadcasters and distributors are basically heavily affected and cannot operate normally as before. So now we're directly hitting the whole production system. But here comes the catch. What the producers are asking to be done when it comes to saving film industry, they basically want to have streaming channels as a priority in distribution right now to continue getting the revenues for their films. They're not able, or they can't, or they won't wait for the cinemas to reopen. And this is basically clashing with the Cinema First program, actually to the cinema's position. What cinemas want? They want to have priority in release. They want to be the first one to have a content to screen. And the position of cinemas in Europe right now is heavy, I would say. because we already have lack of the audience compared to the South Asian countries, for example. And when you see the numbers of subscribers in Europe for streaming platforms, of course that cinema would get worried. But now we have to see what is going to happen, because this is where industry is divided. Either we will go to the cinemas first to have release despite all these conditions and with possible smaller revenues for filmmakers, or we will see if we can just go to distribution priority in streaming platforms. I would kindly ask if you wouldn't touch the screen while I'm talking, because I'm having crosses all of my screen. I can't read what I wrote.
Yeah, somebody's
I know it's
Okay.
fun, but it's bothering a bit. But
Yeah.
okay, thank you. So yeah, actual cinema first strategy has been really successful in the previous year before the COVID-19 happened, and it brought beautiful amount of money as well as revenues. Okay, now we are in film festivals. To some may be the favorite topic. So as previously mentioned, I'm also a festival programmer for Dhaka International Film Festival. I'm a former artistic director for Yala International Independent Film Festival, and I try to collaborate with European Asian relations as much as possible. So I believe that plenty of you have heard about We're One Film Festival. At least I hope so, because that's been a beautiful event that happened in our film industry. This is when many festivals, I believe around 21 major international film festivals, decided to unite together as one and to screen all the best titles that they have for free to people all around the world. And all the donations that have been made were going directly to the people and the festivals impacted by this crisis as well. What are film festivals facing as a challenge as well when it comes to the crisis is, for example, selections, as well as moving online, although not all film festivals see that as a challenge. Unlike cinemas, they more see it like opportunity. And I have been participating in a few beautiful film festivals that took part online, even Oscar qualifying one. And I can tell you, I know it's not the same, but it's the best that we can have for now. And it's really important that the film cycle and film distribution cycle is not impacted by the pandemic. We really need to try our best and see what can we do with possible technology solution, with possible online solutions to help our films as well. And yeah, of course, getting the audience, this is really an interesting element as well. As I'm talking with Dhaka International Film Festival right now about shall we do online, shall we do offline, and so on. How do you get the audience for online festival? Because it's not the same. It's not the same feeling. It's not the same audience. You're not having the experience of being in one room.
Excuse me, somebody is purposefully drawing on the screen. Please stop it that.
Yeah, anyone who is drawing this, I would kindly ask you if I can just finish my presentation, because I really want to share this knowledge with you. You know, I'm really doing my best to bring you this knowledge. So you can draw those hearts later on my email or whatever. Let's just continue this. Okay, so one more thing about film festival is funding. So many festivals have problem with public funding. And how do they reach for the money that is needed to finance their film festival? Especially now, when, for example, in third world countries, pandemic has hit the hardest, and relocation of money is different. They don't have probably insured money for the creative part, for the culture, and so on. So the money is basically gone. And film and festival directors right now have to, be creative in getting this money. They have to search for alternative models of funding, try to see how to reach for the partnerships that can actually help the festival, and have, of course, fundraising creativity. And that's a challenge for many of people, but this is something we must get used to, of course. Okay, now just a small element about future of transitions. what's happening in Europe, and it's really important to mention that we have large increase in streaming, and actually it was so huge increase in streaming that there was that Netflix, YouTube, and Amazon Prime had to cut picture quality to ease pressure and to allow everyone to watch actually films, videos, and so on. So yeah, it actually brings a new age, I would say, to Europe. But what I also wanted to mention is regarding VR and AR elements. Some film festivals are already trying to play with it. For example, I believe it's Tribeca Film Festival that partnered up with Oculus from Facebook to have a VR film festival in people's home. So I would say that this is the first steps of having a new reality of film festivals in your own home. So it will be really, really interesting to see where this will lead to. But also we have to be really, really careful not to lose the beautiful energy of watching films together and being in cinema as well. Okay, I don't want to brag what Europe did for its film industry and the cinema, but many steps were taken to bring everything to normal, or at least to try to ease the situation in Europe. Starting from European Commission, Council of the EU, European Parliament. And what I would like also to mention, what's really, really interesting about this audiovisual entrepreneurship version, it's this EU vs virus, which was a large hackathon and matchathon as well that had I believe more than 200 projects. I have to double check that as well, that were aiming to bring different solutions, even innovative solutions to different parts of fields and so on. And one of them was also culture. And students, young people, old people were applying their solutions for arts and culture, how to survive this pandemic and not to lose our culture. And it was beautiful to see that we had beautiful solutions that were recognized and selected and presented. And I really hope that there will be more of this. I believe that young people carry the passion, knowledge, and curiosity with the help of seniors with experience to bring something innovative. Who knows, maybe you will also have potential opportunity or idea to develop something like that. And I would definitely encourage you to try to do that, because it can be the future of the filmmaking as well and film distribution. So yeah, you can check basically on the pages what was done from the European Union institutions side. But now just to try to sum up, what are also other challenges for European Union besides COVID that actually happened right now, pandemic that hit the strongest? We have, of course, other challenges as well. As I previously mentioned, we have major global players that are taking a large amount of the market share in European Union. And Europe, primarily France, Germany, United Kingdom, are trying to get our market share back, I would say. So we will see what happens after this pandemic crisis as well. Many initiatives are started to bring back our market. So we'll see what happens. Copyright, of course, we all have problems with copyright. It's something that's present everywhere in the world, but with the digital single market initiative, there is hope that that can be solved as well. Gender equality, I believe everyone has a problem with gender equality in the film industry. I think that Norway has beautiful examples of positive discrimination. I don't know if you have heard about this term, but they even have in their film schools, they have a higher percentage of female students being accepted than the male ones, which is really interesting, and it basically works. So we'll see what, but it's really, really important. And I would tell to all your female students, fight for your rights, be passionate. You're not less worthy just because you're kinder gender, I don't know. Saving cinema, of course. This is this is going to be a huge challenge, especially now with the streaming platforms, Netflix, Disney Plus. Just look at the amount in increase of people subscribed to Disney Plus. It's incredible. People are just switching up. I believe around 60%, 60-something percent of US adults in total have subscribed at least once to some streaming channel platform. I mean, that's US, but it's gonna copy paste most probably to us as well. Okay, now we have language barriers and culture differences. I read on many places that this is a negative side of the European films. This is a reason why European films are having problems with distribution, even inside of the European Union, especially outside as well. But I wouldn't see that as a minus. I would rather see that as a plus. I would mostly focus on the education of young people, especially their film watching behavior and media literacy, whether they're watching, whether they're reading, and so on. I believe it's not a problem about the languages and many. I mean, you in India, you also have different types of language. You have different cultures included inside as well. But still, you have incredible amount of people visiting cinema and supporting your own culture. And I really hope that many beautiful initiatives in Europe can actually bring this to light as well. And of course, we came to this entrepreneurial side, alternative ways of funding and revenue growth. Europe, in order to survive and succeed, definitely has to find a ways. Film producers have to find ways of alternative ways of funding. Besides pre-sales, besides minimum guarantees, besides public funding, there must be something new that is waiting to be discovered. And I would definitely encourage all young producers to think about this, to try to find maybe solutions, because being a good producer today is not just, being able to make a film. It basically also means you're able to get money. And seeing how the situation right now goes, it's really important how you can find solutions and how creative you are in finding solutions. Now we came to the end of the presentation. If you really want, you can put hearts here as well. I'm completely fine with it. On the left side, you have listed all the important institutions and websites that I would encourage you to check out. There's plenty of data, but maybe it can be really useful for your research as well, maybe to compare European, Asian situation, industries, and cinematography as well. And yeah. If any questions, I would be really happy to answer. Thank you so much for listening.
Okay, thank you, Dalia. She has expressed her comprehensions about cinema in Europe, whether theatrical. No, she said we are losing cinema in the theaters. Okay, and at the same time, she has pointed out the silver linings, where she has proposed a sort of a bridge between Europe and Asia, a collaborative efforts between it. She was very much optimistic, because as a young person, and she has urged the young persons everywhere in the globe to be part of this new initiative. And one keyword that struck me was a positive discrimination. Okay, that is really fantastic. And please wait, we'll have a question and answer session after the fourth presentation by Professor Madhu. And now I call upon dear friend Dr. C.S. Venkiteswaran in Chalakudy, Thrissur. C.S.
Yes, I can hear you.
Dr. C.S.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Over to you. Yes. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Vijayakumar, other speakers, and also the Marian College for taking up such a relevant issue for discussion in the form of a webinar, which is what is possible today, actually. So what actually, Sunil Kumar and Dalia have set the tone and the field of, inquiry really very cogently and, well. So I think I will take it forward in another direction, from looking at it from the point of view of cinema from various angles, basically putting this issue of or the characteristic of cinema, the publicness of cinema at the center of my discussion. So basically, you have to look at the whole COVID situation as a whole, as it affects different aspects of our life, to look at cinema, in a different, totally post-COVID cinema or cinema in a totally different manner. So cinema, I try to look at it as an art, as a medium, as an event, and also as an industry, because all these are deeply linked to and influenced by socioeconomic, technological, and political climate that envelops it at the local, regional, national, and global levels. There is a lot of hints in the talks of Sunil Kumar and Dalia about the whole thing. But the most socially and politically significant impact of COVID pandemic is the need and necessity for social distancing between people. In the present COVID situation, every one of us have become suspect. We could be carriers, or anyone we come in contact with could be one. So everybody becomes suspect. We could, this situation of lockdown and the kind of containment that Vijayakumar sir was referring to, all these are spatial terms actually, which has forced people to keep themselves apart, avoid social gatherings, not to travel unless it is absolutely necessary, and to stay at home or wherever you are. So what is presented, what is prevented, suspended, or banned indefinitely is not only personal interfaces and transactions, but also all kinds of physical coming together of people. This includes meeting people as part of one's vocation, daily life and livelihood, travels for professional purposes or business needs, and congregations and celebrations of all kinds, whether it be familial, social, or religious, and most importantly, for political protests and processions or gatherings, which is also a very important aspect of this COVID social situation. This restriction on human movement, social gathering, and personal interaction obviously has serious consequences upon our social lives and reconstitutes the idea of the public, whether as believers, political protesters, or spectators and audience of any kind, whether it be public events, theater performances, or cinema. So any instance, event, or space of social gathering has become impossible or suspect, at least for some time to come. This situation has actually spurred the shift to the digitization of every aspect of our lives. Every aspect of our lives, everything goes online, like our work, our professions, transactions and exchanges, as well as communication and entertainment. All these aspects are getting digitized, going online. Our physical world has shrunk to our homes or rooms, and our interface with others and experience of the world has become virtual. The new state of exception, as it is called, has forced the world to interrogate, rethink, reimagine, and reorganize various aspects of not only our personal lives, but also social, political, and economic systems and structures. For instance, the pandemic has forced us to think anew, afresh, about life, nature, disease, death, travel, development, globalization, labor, etc. The industries are reorganizing themselves to cope with new situation, shifting to work from home, in the process downsizing their activities, and shedding a lot of posts, leading to huge loss of jobs. Like business, education is shifting from classroom teacher-oriented to online learning and software-centered modes. This long description about the new condition is basically because all this deeply affects our social life, imagination, and expression, of which cinema is an integral and intimate part. This shift from offline and physical to online and virtual modes and the ban on social gathering has seriously affected cinema, as has already been indicated. It has affected cinema in its various manifestations, as an art form, as an event, as a medium, and as an industry. So I'll just go quickly flag certain issues in all these manifestations. As an industry, a lot of things have already been said. With the closing down of theaters, cinemas' revenue source has been affected, as well as production. All these productions is at a standstill. No more film shootings or production, or no new releases. The whole thing is in a standstill. Theaters are closed. No more productions happening. As a medium, I think one of the most important and significant characteristic of cinema, apart from its globality and hybridity, is its publicness. By publicness, I mean this magical experience that everybody is referring to, like this collective community experience, where people gather together in a screening space, sit together in the dark, watch huge images that are projected onto the screen. Publicness, which constitutes the core of this magical encounter with cinema, is under severe threat now. That is the core of it, more than its globality, its hybridity, and its revenue model. Its publicness is at risk, is hugely affected. With theaters being closed down and people restricting themselves to homes, online screening platforms have taken over the visual entertainment industry, offering its audience a variety of visual experience online. What used to be a social gathering of people in theaters or the public of the cinema republic have splintered. Like I remember this Kamal Swaroop telling me once, like when television came to India in the 90s, he said, actually the silver screen of cinema has splintered, and each bit or splinter has fallen into homes in the form of television screens. And he was talking about the huge cinema image turning into small television images, so splintering into small bits of glittering images. Now we are actually talking about the huge gathering of people who congregated in front of movie screens, being forced to withdraw to their homes and to small screens like television, computer, or mobile. It is also the transformation from a social experience to an individual one, from a public event to a personal affair with the image. Now, just to give an indication about the scale of the shift, like these figures and projections, which have already been mentioned, I'll just mention you one or two, figures. Like, for instance, like number of streaming accounts globally now has surpassed paid television subscriptions, which is a huge shift. So global data predicts 1.1 billion streaming accounts by 2021, next year, which means the world population is 7.8 billion. So 1 in 7 person in the world will be part of this streaming network. And this shift, again, in the Indian context, there is this shift due to the COVID pandemic. There is a huge shift at the national level and all the state level, a shift to online education in India. This is going to actually make every home a smart home, every student connected to the world, to the internet. So it's not only going to link homes which have students to the virtual education platforms, but it will also open up homes to online entertainment. So it is going to expand, to be an expanding youth home market for virtual entertainment industry. So there is one huge area, because India being one of the biggest visual entertainment markets, this is going to be an opening. Education has opened up a huge field. Then secondly, like film as an event, when we are talking about film as a medium, now film as an event, events like film festivals are going to be affected seriously, as Dalia was saying. Like we are going to have a lot of big international film festivals have either suspended or switched to online modes. We talked about VR1 festival, which had a huge, following all over the world. With the industry in the doldrums and the public funding for arts and culture being severely curtailed by governments all over the world, production figures plunging, film festivals are under severe threat. Actually, they're going to face the music in the years to come. So again, like maybe we are shifting the modes of showing, the modes of selection, curating, all these are going to undergo a lot of transformations. So VR1 festival could be one new initiative to cope with the pandemic situation and to create a new audience that is spread across the world. Even one film festival organized by Federation of Film Societies of India in last 2 weeks back had 20,000 viewers, which is a very welcome sign, actually. So likewise, there is going to be a huge change in the mindset. For instance, Cannes Festival, one of the biggest festivals in the world, had a problem with Netflix and all that for OTT releases, where it should come first and all that. Now that is going to be a kind of question that has been answered by COVID. Lastly, the question of how the pandemic is going to affect cinema as an art form. That is what I would like to talk about. I think all the above shifts in terms of movie as an industry, medium and event will impact upon cinema as an art. With the shift to online audiences and OTT platforms, with theater screenings becoming difficult, at least for some time to come, cinema will be forced to reimagine and reinvent itself in tune with and in contrast to other visual media experiences. For instance, the expansion of OTT platforms and its audience base across the world is definitely going to change the visual taste and narrative preferences, expectations, understanding about technical excellence, thematic variety, etc. It's going to make a huge shift in all these areas. In OTT, the preference, there is also this question of long versus short forms. In OTT platforms, you can see this preference is for long formats in the form of very popular shows and series, like, for instance, Game of Thrones or Money Heist, or in our own context, like Sacred Games or Padar Lok, and all these are making big, expanding their viewership. The visual experience of watching these web serials, I think, is radically different from the magical experience of cinema, its collective experience, and its publicness. The web series are all about intense human drama, conflict situations of different kinds, fast, dramatic pace of the narrative, all of which promote some sort of binge viewing. It makes you addictive, pulls the viewer into kind of, addictive viewing. More dangerous, again, so that is one aspect of viewing, difference between OTT and I'll come to cinema. Second thing is more dangerous is the aspect of audience surveillance in the OTT platforms. With OTT platform viewing, it becomes possible for the content provider to assess, monitor, and control the viewing patterns and habits of the audience at the global level. Because we are talking about millions, billions of people, viewers across the world. It is possible to gather data about who is watching what, when, how, where in the world. OTT content too, like television now, the OTT content of the future too will be ruled and controlled by big data analytics based on audience response, which in turn means uniformity and seriality in content. It'll be more of the same rather than diversity and difference. It is what all these huge, big data media platforms have already proven. Actually, if you look at the history of television, if you look at the short history of even online screening platforms, you can see this. Local and regional content, styles, storytelling modes, etc., will all tend to dissolve and meld into certain global patterns that will be promoted, marketed ad infinitum, ad nauseam. And it is here that cinema is going to make the difference and thrive. For the experience of watching cinema is radically different, both in terms of viewing experience as well as its aesthetic experience. Viewing experience in terms of screen size, as Sunil Kumar was saying, like the community ambience, the image being projected onto the screen, projected image, darkness of the theater, or watching it together but alone, and the aesthetic experience in terms of integrity and duration, the kind of sound quality that Sunil Kumar was talking about, which can never be replicated by anything else. The integrity and duration of the image, the meditativeness and reflectiveness of the cinematic image, and the magical experience that it envelops us in. For instance, the way in which cinematic image creates moods, works with durations, its imaginations and imagings of space and time. All of these are radically different from the experience of watching a nail-biting suspense, a spy thriller, a tense melodrama about human relationships, or a spine-chilling horror story on your domestic or personal screens, like mobile or computer screen. So OTT platforms, instead of eating into the terrain of cinema, is actually going to create a new audience base that is not analogous with that of cinema, not exactly analogous with that of cinema. Of course, there will be overlaps and similarities, but both will remain and thrive as different visual experiences with distinct thematics and techniques and catering to different audience markets and tastes. So I think the post-COVID cinema, in terms of content, themes, and aesthetics, will be different and will have to be different. In other words, if cinema is to thrive, it will have to reinvent and reimagine itself. Likewise, film festivals too will have to reinvent and recreate themselves to nurture a counter aesthetic that is unique to cinema. This is exactly where art, independent, parallel filmmakers and film festivals are going to and should make a difference. They have to convert the alternatives, the virtual spaces created by new situation, to creative and subversive use, to express in new ways and address the post-pandemic viewer with an aesthetics and thematics that is totally cinematic and that caters, that addresses the new audience. That is a mode of imaging and imagining that reaffirms the publicness of cinema and the reflexivity of its imageries. One that offers a totally different visual and aesthetic experience compared to that of television and OTT series, which I think cinema will do. It will rediscover, reassert its publicness like it always has done in the past. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. C.S. Venkiteswaran. That was an excellent presentation because now cinema is reinventing. It is being reinvented in the OTT platforms. And there is as he has pointed out, there is an addictive viewing. And the big brothers are watching us. Because now in the OTT platform, unlike the theater experience, no, the big brothers are watching us. So therefore, it is going to be a commercially venture production at the individual level. Because now we are not seeing cinema as a group. We are seeing cinema as only one person. And even as we are sitting in a group, we are individuals. We are private individuals. But at the same time, when we view it in the home theater, we are in a family. So that is the difference. And anyway, our C.S. Venkiteswaran's concerns will be reflected in the feedback also, I think so. And finally, I'm going to my dear friend, Professor Madhu Eravankara. Madhu Eravankara was holding the post of the head of the department of the Film Studies Department in the Malayalam University at Tiruvu. And now over to Professor Madhu. Professor Madhu, are you here?
Yes.
Okay, over to Madhu.
Yeah.
To Madhu. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes. Hear you.
Okay. Good morning to all. At the outset, let me congratulate the Marian College team for organizing such a wonderful webinar under the leadership of Professor Vijayakumar and also Father Sobin Kanalil. And I should also express my heartfelt thanks to Ms. Dalia Alic, who was a colleague with me in Dhaka International Film Festival, for obliging my invitation to attend this seminar on behalf of Marian College. Thank you, Dalia. I think most of the speakers who have spoken earlier have covered most of the points. I don't know what is left for me. Anyway, as a person who has attended so many international film festivals, I think I will, and I am asked to concentrate on the aspects of film festival and the challenges of the post-COVID film festivals. And also I will speak something on the crisis in film industry. As you know, film festivals are the celebrations of world cinema. It brings before you the better part of world cinema, its innovations in content, narrative, and technical advance. Okay, we know about it. As Dalia was just mentioning it, there is a vast difference between the film festivals of Asia and Europe, and the film festivals in US region also, US and Canada. Because in Asia, you see a large number of people attending the film festivals. You know about Kerala, our international IFFK, International Film Festival of Kerala, and we have seen what has happened in Dhaka, and I saw what is happening in Busan, in Abu Dhabi. Yeah, wherever there is an Asian film festival, people flock in large numbers. Look at Goa. You know, it's very difficult for the persons to restrict the numbers of persons entering into film festival halls. So it's a huge task for them to control the audience. Either they have to put some restrictions or something like that. Even at the end of Asia, you know, the last part of Asia, that's Istanbul, I have seen the similar, you know, the rush of audience in Istanbul film festivals too. But when you go to Europe, you can see the number of audiences, the film audiences in the film festival halls are very, very, very low. And when you go to Toronto, also the thing changes again. More people are flocking to film festivals to watch the films. So whenever we talk about the future of film festivals or after the post-COVID challenges, we have to take into consideration of this fact. That is why I gave this introduction for the in the beginning itself. Okay, now we know the main international film festival like Cannes, Venice, Berlin, Locarno, then the festivals in Toronto, Busan. You know, it's very difficult for them to run the normal film festival now. They have to resort to all these online film festivals. And I have already, we know that the Cannes Film Festival have tried an online film market. And the Variety magazine was telling that the market was okay, but very few people attended the market and very few sales were there in the market. So that is the case. So I think online film festivals, of course, it's an alternative arrangement for the time being. It could be. We can't we can't make it as a phenomenon which is lasting forever. Because the thing is, the online film festivals are facing a lot of challenges. And it is actually the post-COVID challenges in film industry as a whole. See, let us see some of the negative sides of these online film festivals, rather than, because the positive sides are compared to, when you compare to the negative sides, the positive sides are lesser in number. That is why I'm talking about the negative sides. See, before me, they were talking about the community audience, the ambience in the theater. Actually, these are all connected to film festivals too. No, I would like to see the film festival in another aspect, in a cultural aspect. Not exactly in the number of persons attending the film festivals or the quality of films, etc. And I would like to concentrate on the cultural aspects of the film festivals. You know, film culture, it is a combination of all the things that you experience from maybe film festivals, maybe from festivals, maybe from your interactions, and maybe from your all other activities related to film festivals. So this together make the film culture. And the film culture, the people who are exactly endowed with the film culture is going to the film festivals. He is going to watch good movies. And they are actually the what you call they determine the criteria of world films in a sense. So what happens? The ambience you get in a film festival, and that ambience is you can't get in an online film festival. You are in a before you are standing or you are sitting before your computer or in your mobile or in your home theater. You may be alone or with your family members, but that doesn't make any difference. But when you are in a festival site, you are meeting a lot of people, and these people are like you. They are also interested in films. You can interact with these people. You can interact with the film makers who attend the film festivals, and you can interact with so many people who are around you. And you are not in an island there, but you are in a very big vast ocean of people who are for films. Okay, so apart from that, there are seminars, there are open forums, there are meet the directors programs, and there are a lot of other programs you are missing. And all these together make a film festival attractive, as well as it makes one a person endowed with the film culture. That is my aspect with respect to the culture. Okay, and a very important thing you are missing, the master classes. You see, the master classes are very good for young aspirants, those who are coming to make films, those who are interested to make films. It's a golden chance for them to listen to the masters who have made great films of the years. So the technician, you meet to the technicians, you hear the technicians, you hear the masters, and that is a golden chance that you are missing in the online film festivals. Then, as everybody has pointed out, the experience of viewing film in a big screen with all the technical excellence is completely lost. You are in a very small screen in a mobile, you are watching a film, and you are watching a film in a big screen with all the technical perfection. So what is exactly the difference? So the another thing I would like to point out is the publications in connection with the film festivals. You have the festival book, you have the festival handbook, you have the festival bulletins, and all the media interactions, the result.
Is there any problem?
Problem with this
Internet, I think so.
internet, I think so.
We shall wait him to reconnect, I think.
Ask Anson to telephone him.
I am calling, sir.
Okay.
It's the problem with the internet. It will be okay soon.
It's okay.
Shall wait for a few minutes. Shall I share a video now?
Yeah, what video you have? A smaller one, Father?
Yes, sir. If he comes, then we can stop it.
Okay. So please bear with us, the key speakers. Now there is a small disconnection, and hopefully within a few minutes we will be getting back to Professor Madhu Eravankara. In the meanwhile, we will have a very small video till he is reconnected. Is it not coming back?
Just 1 minute, sir.
He is coming back.
Like he called now, but I think he has not yet come. Just 1 minute. എന്തോ? Shall we answer some questions, sir, now?
Yeah, right now, shall we go to the chat box? Epan Alexander is there?
Yes, sir, I'm there.
Okay, put some
Yes, sir.
questions to the key speakers here.
Yes, sir, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, everyone. We have a lot of questions to be answered. And the first question is from Ms. Anjana Venugopal. And this is to Mr. Sunil Kumar, sir. The question is, do you think the scope of satellite rights will be due to COVID-19 crisis?
Can you please read the question again?
Yes, sir. The question is, do you think the scope of satellite rights will be diminished due to the COVID-19 crisis?
Okay. So satellite viewing is also something through the, it's a streaming television only, like web television, it's a streaming television only. And normally when box office release, along with the box office release, the producers will also sell the satellite rights. So I don't think from this point of view, COVID will affect the satellite rights. Maybe it may get affected because the satellite rights subscription, if it is more than what we pay for the OTT. In OTT, what the platform which we are going to have, what platform which we are going to use for viewing, it depends upon every provider. And some of the providers, they charge very lesser than your satellite TV subscription. I mean DTH. So that may get reduced. So I think this will satisfy the questionnaire.
Now we can
Sir,
continue.
there is
Epan.
yeah.
And
Yes, sir.
now we can continue with Madhu, sir. He is ready now.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Vijayakumar, sir.
Welcome back, Madhu. You can continue. Professor Madhu? Hello, Professor Madhu. Can you hear me? Again disappeared. And Madhu has again.
Sir, you can unmute now. Sir, then can move to the next question, sir.
Okay, Epan Alexander.
Yes, sir.
Okay, over to the next question.
Yeah. Next question is for Ms. Dalia Alic. This is from Dr. Juby. She asks, is it possible to replace theater watching with OTT?
So, Dalia?
Should I repeat the question?
Dalia, can you hear me?
Yes, I didn't understand well.
Yeah. Epan has raised.
Yeah, okay. I'll repeat. This question is from Dr. Juby. Is it possible to replace the experience with OTT platforms?
Well, I wouldn't say it's the same, definitely. But new technology is exploring ways how we can maybe add experience that we had from the cinema or similar ones to the digital ones as well. For example, VR experience, AR experience. Those are really interesting, and this is something that we're not feeling in the cinema, for example, that kind of experience. So there is, I would say, a contrast. You maybe lose something from not being in the cinema, but you get something by using VR, AR technology, and vice versa. So maybe it's not going to be the same experience that we will succeed to get with new technologies, but it's definitely going to be a different one, a new kind of experience that's maybe going to be even better to the new audiences, new generation and audiences. Who knows? There's plenty of possibilities.
Okay, Ipan.
Yes, sir. Yeah, the next question for Dr. C.S. Venkiteswaran. It is from Abhijit Krishna. Do you think there is any possibility to exist as two distinct worlds where films are produced separately for OTT release as well as for theatrical release?
Over to Dr. Venkiteswaran.
Yeah,
Okay.
like I think that is going to happen, as Dalia was indicating. This no OTT platform is not going to replace cinema. Actually, cinema is going to redefine itself, and you have a new kind of audience, because as we see it now in India, the films that have been released through OTT now were not actually made for OTT platforms. The films meant for theater release they had to release it through OTT because of this new situation. But when OTT becomes popular, as it has become now, and creates an audience base, there will be a lot of films being made targeting such audience. So there will be two different kinds of audiences for cinema and OTT. That is what I was trying to say. Actually, the experiences are different. There will be two different kinds of audience. Just like when TV came, cinema reconfigured itself. Likewise, when OTT comes, cinema will reconfigure itself and will remain a distinct collective experience.
Okay, Ipan, the next question.
Yeah, the next question is from Dr. Jayasree. It is for Sunil Kumar, sir. Do you think the OTT platforms are advisable?
As already has been discussed, and among all the resource persons, both the cinema and OTT platforms will coexist. So, as we have been seeing the box office releases along with satellite rights, OTT will also coexist with the film, and maybe the smaller budget films will get benefited on OTT first release, and the big budget films may go to the cinema, or even I think there is much more possibility is, instead of making the OTT rest with the very top big guns, the film companies by themselves, the production companies by themselves may go for their own OTT platforms, so that simultaneous release on DTH, simultaneous release on OTT and cinema theaters can be done.
Okay, Ipan, the next
Yes.
question.
There is another question for Ms. Dalia Alic. This is from Bob and Kurian. Europe has been a central stage for cultural and artistic enterprise for centuries. How has Europe taken a backseat? Please explain.
Can you please repeat the last sentence?
Yes. Europe has taken a central. How has Europe taken a backseat? I mean, how have they gone back? Because they were at the major central stage, and now he assumes that Europe is not at the central stage of cultural and artistic enterprises. Yeah.
I believe it's connected, comparing with Hollywood and Bollywood, for example, if I'm getting this question right. Yeah, so when I was doing a research, which European countries on the top list of film producing and so on in the world, I first saw Bollywood. Then I think there was Nigeria. by the number of produced films in year. In Nigeria, then I think it was Hollywood, and then there was UK somewhere on the list from 5th to on. And that's a really good question, actually. How is it possible that European film scene, although having public funding, is not able to compare with Bollywood and Hollywood when it comes to the production of the films, as well as the number of the audience that are seeing those films? To be honest, I don't know the answer as well. Some would say that this is type of movies who are not, to whom the audience is maybe not used to. I previously mentioned the language barriers and the cultural differences in European films. So in each European country, you have a different culture, slightly different at least. And you have, of course, a different language. And it takes more effort to watch a European film than to turn on some mainstream American film, be relaxed and watch it, to just be more relaxed.
And then forget everything.
Yes. And I would say we, of course, have different genres and types of films. We have comedies, we have dramas and everything. I would just say that European films are not for everyone. And I would highly encourage younger people in schools, in kindergartens, in families, to watch more European films, to see the quality behind the story, to see the quality in the way it's directed. European films, unlike, I may be generalizing right now, but unlike mainstream films in general, they have, I would say, layers that need to be foreseen. So maybe that's the reason, I don't know, but it's definitely a challenge. And we all hope that with the help of film festival like Cannes, Sarajevo, Locarno, we might actually help European film to be more visible. It's maybe not the top when it comes to the number of produced yearly, but it definitely has qualifications and establishment when it comes by the number of awards it's won and the way it's recognized and appreciated by different film professionals and established people from the film industry. I really hope I answered your question. I'm sorry it wasn't maybe more into details. It really depends about person from person what we think about this, but I encourage you to explore on your own, definitely.
Even there is a question from Anson Thomas, and I think that question can be directed to Dr. C.S. Venkiteswaran.
Yes, sir.
Can you read out the question?
Yes, sir. Sure. How can we address the piracy issue of piracy issue for films released in OTT platforms, especially in smaller industries with a relatively smaller audience? Dr. C.S. Venkiteswaran.
I think piracy is an issue, which is a very tricky kind of issue. Actually, if you look at the history of piracy and film audience as such, you can see that piracy has actually helped expanding film audience. People who never watched films are watching films because of piracy, because it gets copied, replicated, exchanged, shared, talked about. So a lot of people are coming in to watch it. So on the one side, I don't think piracy is pure evil, but it's also kind of free way in which people use technology to communicate, to spread whatever they have, cultural resources they have. So it's a kind of, that is what technology makes possible. So you just can't prevent it. You are asking for state to intervene, and that is, I don't think that is good for art in any case. But on the other, there is this whole question of small filmmakers getting affected by piracy because their films get, I think that is a question only at the initial stage where the filmmaker is trying to, he has made a film, he or she has made a film, and he is trying to enter the film festival or the market, and then your film gets copied, seen by others, an opinion is created which works against him or her. But I think in one way that is unavoidable, because you use these all these platforms have loopholes. You just can copy, because even though this last festival, FFSI festival we had, 2 films are copied, it came on Telegram. So there's a huge problem. But what I'm trying to say is that watching these pirated copies on your mobile or computer screen is radically different from watching it on screen. So people, if you make films, if these pirated copies, small screen copies, will be an invitation to the theater to watch the films on the big screen with proper sound and image quality. That's what I hope for. My response to it.
Okay.
There is another question for you. Yes, sir. There is another question for Dr. CS.
Yeah.
I hope you can hear me. Hello?
Yeah. I can hear.
This question is from Miss Sridevi Narayanan. She asked, shall we consider the OTT boom as a healthy competition in the Indian market? Because now we have time, Netflix, Hotstar, and other podcast platforms.
No, actually it depends. As I said, it's going to expand the market. It is going to bring in more people, and with online education making it big in India, where every home is going to be smart, this is going to expand. So OTT platforms are going to thrive in India. It is going to have a huge audience base. But will it actually help filmmakers? Is another question. Actually, not filmmakers in the general sense, but filmmakers who are trying to be independent, serious art filmmakers. Will the OTT platform help them? There are 2 ways of looking at it. One is that if you look at the mainstream platforms, when you look at the history of Netflix or Amazon and all these big brothers in the scene, you can see that there is as I said, it works with algorithm. Like if you, its content is driven by the database, the data analysis, which is the favorite program. So it always goes with audience taste. So it always goes with a certain kind of taste which tends to get uniform and serialized. And any art film, parallel film is trying to break this monotony, break out. So I don't think it is going to find platform space in mainstream OTT platforms. Maybe there is a token presence for brand image. Otherwise, it is not going to have a space. Secondly, there is also this question. I will also try to answer it along with that. Basically, now the OTT platforms, one thing that they have a positive thing is like there is no censorship. There's a lot of content. For instance, a serial like Sacred Games or Patalok would have been impossible in cinema. It would have faced a lot of censorship, but it comes out. But just like the surveillance of content by the content providers, this is also easily available to the state. State is also going to come in, and definitely this censorship is going to come there. So content-wise, this is not going to a platform is not going to actually provide. These big platforms are not going to provide enough space or the space that they require for alternate filmmakers. They will have to create their own platforms, and this technology makes that possible. So there will be new kinds of hand-holdings, networkings, parallelly, that will create the counter aesthetic and will uphold the cinema's magic. That's what I hope for.
Okay, Dalia Alic, there are 2 questions directed at you.
As Madhu is back, you can ask.
Vijayakumar sir, Madhu sir is back now.
Yeah.
Okay, Madhu, can you hear me?
Unmute me. Okay.
Yeah.
So what shall I do now? I don't know.
You can sum up what you have already said.
Okay, I was sorry for the interruption. There was some problem with my connection. I don't know what happened. It was the first time it happened like that. Okay, I was just telling about the media, the cultural atmosphere that you derive from a festival hall. And in addition to that, there is a very important point as far as the challenges is concerned, is the film market itself. Because the film market is an opportunity for the filmmakers, producers, and also the distributors to sell and exchange their films. Because I have seen personally in Busan film market and in other film festival market also, you see how much sales are being done there. And even for a festival in Kerala, I was a programmer for some time back, and I collected all the films from the screeners from the Busan film market. And then I contacted with all the film producers or film distributors in person and negotiated, because it is for them, it is a great outlet for getting their films to out. So naturally, you know what happens, this film market possibility is completely lost. And that is what happened in the last Cannes market. And then Cannes film market, very few sales have been going on there. So nothing happened so far. So actually, that is why I was just telling earlier that it is only it could be only a temporary arrangement. It should not be an arrangement forever. But we have other alternatives like OTT platforms, etc. But that is not the final. It's only for some time, because as some speakers have already mentioned, these two things should go on. You know, the theater release as well as the OTT platforms, they should go in parallel. Then only, you know, our future film industry will flourish. So those films with a low budget, we can of course release in the OTT platforms. But what about the other films with a big budget? How can they get it released in the OTT platform and getting nothing? So that's a situation before us. So it is a great post-COVID challenge before the film industry, I think. And also one more thing I would like to point out, the pitching programs, the film markets or the other coordinated projects are very much essential for pitching films. And this, most of the newcomers are getting their films pitched in the film markets, and also the possibility of co-production, and they are also being done in the film market. And all these possibilities are lost forever. And look at the competition sections film. Suppose you conduct the competition section in an online, what happens? I have an example, because I was in an Arab jury, Arab critic jury for an Arab films for international, for example, the festival, where we have to find out the best Arab film. And there were jury. And you know what happened? Everybody is very partial in their deliberations. And there is no discussion in between the jury members, and there is no deliberations in between the jury members. So what happens? Everybody takes their opinion, and then they take the whole as a whole, and get some film which have no, it is not at all deserving for the film to be coming to the top. This is what is happening. So such a situation is there in the online film festival, and we can't accept it, such a festival. Then opportunity for technicians and film masters or filmmakers to rejuvenate themselves, because every day, every time you have to refresh yourself, and the film festival is an occasion to refresh yourself with your theme, with your narrative, with your technical excellence, with your advancement in the technology, and everything. You have to refresh yourself, and this is a fine opportunity, and that is lost in online film festivals. And also I have already mentioned, for distributors, for producers, film festivals are a major source of revenue. I'm not talking about the commercial films. I'm talking
Father, can we go for a question to Dalia Alic?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Dalia Alic, are you listening to me?
Yes.
Okay. There are two questions. One raised by one Ashok Kumar. He wanted to know more about Cinema First program. And the second question is from a person called Sanju. He's asking whether there is a market for short films from India to be exhibited in Europe. So please answer these two questions.
So as previously seen on the presentation, if you want to get it, I can send it to you. It's not a problem. Cinema First actually happened in 2019, and it had incredible results for that year. But right now, as I previously mentioned, there is a clash between cinema and producers. What should be done? Shall they go to the theaters? Shall they go first to the streaming channels? There's a huge question if the film industry wants to save the cinema. In that case, producers have to wait for their film to be screened in the cinema first, to have the priority to be seen there and released. Or on the other hand, producers need the revenue. They need to get their film going. They can't break the circle. So they send their film almost immediately to the streaming channels after the festivals and so on. So this is what's now happening in Europe, and we will see how the situation will go. Of course, we would all love cinemas to be saved, and this would be definitely a good program. But we really have to see what works for producers as well, because they have people to feed. Film producing and filmmaking is not just, a luxury. It's an industry that feeds people. People eat from that. And regarding the second question, I was in a similar situation with my short film. And what can I suggest is definitely find a sales agent, but be really careful about prior making film. Be careful and try to research if there is a market for your film. It's not only about shooting a film anymore. You have to be careful and see, okay, this film which I'm gonna do, is there a market that my film can go to? Because if your goal is go to Europe, to sell your film in Europe, then you have to see what can you do with your short film, how it has to be, how it has to look. Are there any specifications, cultural aspects, and so on that can actually be appreciated by sales agents in Europe? But to be brutally honest, as a producer of a short film as well, it's really hard to sell a short film. It's really hard to actually find a sales agent even for a short film. I was lucky one to get one who approached me on one film festival, but you have to think 2 steps before you make a film. So that's my suggestion, but don't quit. Try to do really good research, talk to the people, connect with the people on the film festivals or online. Keep going. That's all what I can say.
Okay, thank you. And Ethan Alexander, are there any questions? Ethan Alexander.
Sir,
Yeah.
yes, sir. There is a question. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a question from Anand Sai SS. Sir, how far do you think we virtual reality could facilitate cinema or explain to the viewers? That's a question. How far do you think? Yeah.
There is some problem, I think, with your
I think there is a problem.
Okay, Father Rajiv Chako is listening from somewhere. Father Rajiv Chako, can you hear me?
Rajiv Joseph is there.
Rajiv Joseph, one Father Rajiv's name appears here.
Yes. Can you?
Yeah, it's audible now.
Yes.
Yeah, can you raise this question?
Yeah, because I have a question about the ambience. You were speaking about the ambience is a real problem for the OTT platform or anything. But I have it is not a question, it's a possibility that maybe any possibility for a better ambience. Can we make a better ambience through technology that we can interact with the different people like this through webinar? So will it be a possibility? The ambience, the problem of the ambience can be solved by technology. If it is like that, then the film festival will have another realm. So anybody can talk about that. I have no specific person to question.
Professor Madhu, can you answer this question? He's not seen. Okay, Mr. Sunil Kumar, can you answer this question? Mr. Sunil
Yeah, I
Kumar?
can answer.
Okay, please.
Can I answer?
Okay, Madhu.
Okay, actually it's a very good question, but I doubt whether our technology is now in a position to create that ambience. The ambience we are talking about, the film festivals, were not created within one day. It is from the beginning of a particular film festival. See, for example, in IFFK, the ambience of IFFK about 20 years before was not like this. Then after this 20 years, the ambience has totally changed. So you can't create an ambience all on a sudden. So what we can do with the technology to some extent, okay, home theaters is a solution to some extent, and the community theaters are a solution to some extent. Apart from that, I don't think that there will be a permanent solution from the part of the technology now to solve or to create ambience, the similar ambience as we see in the film festival. So that is what I feel now. Maybe situation may change in future.
Okay, one last question from Epan Alexander.
Yes,
there
sir.
are many questions being asked, but no, we don't have time to answer all these questions.
Okay, this is for Sunil Kumar, sir. I hope I'm audible.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, this question is about the VR box, virtual reality box.
Okay.
He asked, how far do you think the VR virtual reality box could facilitate cinema hall experience to the viewers? It's a technical question, to be honest.
Yeah, the virtual reality box is actually the new scenario, the emerging trend in the film is totally going over to these virtual reality boxes, because the micro virtual productions are going to be the future trend in filmmaking, where the individual characters, the animatronics, and even the computer generated human characters will all be mixed together in using the Unreal engines, and finally mixed up or finally married up into a film. Actually, for this COVID-19 situation like this, some of the films, okay, the very first attempt has already been done by some filmmakers who have done such virtual box shooting, and it has all been mixed with the Unreal engines, and very short films have already been produced. But anyhow, the technology is at its very infancy, and a lot more things have to be done depending upon the story content and other things. Because recently, you might have all seen in the YouTube a small virtual production clip in which the entire shoot was done in one's own home, not even a green background or a blue background or a matte, and it was mixed beautifully along with the set, virtually created set. So I think in future that even though the technology is at its infancy, the future will be answering. We'll be getting such films to fight against these OTT platforms and all other things. The cinema will really march into such new technologies, imbibing them into the cinema.
Yeah, we can have some positive attitude towards that. Anyway, we are entering into the last part of our presentation and asking each and every key speakers to briefly summarize their presentations. And no, anything?
Vijayakumar sir.
Father, okay.
Sir, with your permission, I have to tell something to Sunil sir and Dalia Alic.
Yeah.
That our department is so sorry for the doodles drawn through during the time of your presentation from the participants side. We are so sorry. Thank you.
Okay, and now I am calling upon Dalia Alic for summarizing her presentation as well as from the responses that you get from the audience. Okay, Dalia Alic.
Thank you for the word. To be honest, I'm blown by this beautiful discussion on many important topics. So I don't think I can sum up my presentation to be interesting as our discussion right now. But what's important to know is that Europe, as Asia, is having its own difficulties and challenges prior and post-pandemic situation. And it's believed that maybe new technologies could be the way. There has to be made a decision if we will save the cinemas or be more focused on streaming channels. But what is most important is that we developed the culture of the cinema going, of watching European films, and of course of seeing potential in different collaborations between Europe and Asia and other continents as well. Thank you so much once again for having me, for Madhu for inviting me. I hope it was useful for you, for your students as well, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. And I'm right now calling on Dr. Venkiteswaran. Dr. Venkiteswaran.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
No, thank you, Vijayakumar, for this very interesting discussion. We had, I think, we raised a lot of questions and insights came up, which I think will, take this whole conversation forward. Nothing to sum up actually. It has been, summarized through the discussions in any case. But one thing is like the whole idea about shifting to the post-COVID cinema. Will it be different? Is OTT platforms going to affect cinematic experience? These were some of the questions which we wanted to, which I wanted to discuss actually. So I would say like OTT platforms are not going to replace cinema. Cinema is going to redefine itself. An OTT platform will create a new audience base. It will expand the audience base of visual entertainment. Indian context, as I said, with the education becoming online, it is also going to multiply its effect on the film market. So there will be a lot of more bigger market, which will not replace cinema, but cinema's experience that it offers is totally different, and it will remain. It will have to, but this new ways of reaching out to people, connecting with people, sharing your uh, visual expressions with others is also opening up space for alternative filmmakers and alternative film festivals, which we have to explore very vigorously to retain that space, just like in the earlier analogous mode when alternative cinema was trying to fight its way to create a niche, create a space for itself. It has to create a counter aesthetics. It has to create counter discourses. It has to create alternate spaces. That's what I feel. I think there is no this thing about being nostalgic about it. Maybe like as many people said, the cinematic ambience question. When I talk to young media film students, they say it is actually something related to your generation because you grew up watching films in theaters. We grew up watching theaters in a computer screen. So for us, cinema is this. So we will no problem with us. Actually, we have lost nothing. So maybe that is one way in which it will develop, create different kinds of being together virtually, but maybe that will have its effect on your social life. So it will connect it not physically, but virtually in different unpredictable ways. That is what I hope. Thank you.
Now, this is a new sort of paradigm shift, I think. And Sunil Kumar, he is right now the admin for a Facebook group called Imagineers. And now I call upon Sunil Kumar to wind up what he has already discussed. Okay, Mr. Sunil Kumar.
Thank you for introducing my platform, Imagineers, the Image Engineers, to this group of audience. It is actually a group of all well-known film professionals in Kerala and all over India. And we discuss, it's a platform for discussing around the latest technologies, the latest things which have been going all around the world and all. And as far as my presentation today, there's and from all other resourceful persons, and as Dr. Venkiteswaran and Professor Madhu sir have and Dalia have put, from my point of view, this OTT is something like a weekday program, whereas your cinema is a weekend program. So every day you may be seeing in OTTs, but at least on Saturday, Sundays, you will go out to cinema. That maybe it is curtailed because of this COVID situation. And another thing which I just wanted to say is, as Dr. Venkiteswaran sir has rightly put, the new generation have been born with the computers in their hand. So for them, cinema is only seen through computers. For people like us, we have gone, stood in the queues and seen them in the theaters, bigger screens. And so we enjoy cinema in that sense, whereas the new generation enjoy the cinema in the sense, not all the new generation. Some serious lovers of film will never enjoy a film on a small screen. They will go to the big screen only. So again, I just take up one more reference. As I said, weekend and weekdays, we have, even though we have daily our food prepared at our home kitchen, we once in a while we go out for a restaurant to have buffet. So like that, OTT will coexist along with film, and film will come again with the full vigorous, and it will come with newer technologies. And that is what, as CSR, as Venkiteswaran sir has told, when television came, everybody thought that film will perish, but nothing happened. Even now the silver screen is there, and the television has become a slave to the silver screen by self designating him as a smaller screen. So that is going to happen in the world. And but anyhow, for the betterment of the small budget film producers, OTT platform is really a good platform. And for the big budget, like which are the production costs running into 300 crores or more, for them OTT cannot get their revenue back. So that was told by Madhu sir, and that is right. So for them, the cinema theaters is the only way of getting their returns. So they may have to wait till the social distancing protocols have been withdrawn to get their films on the screens. And I thank the all the resourceful persons and all the participants for giving me a chance to learn more and more in this field of cinematography, which is a passion for me. Thank you very much, sir. I thank you. I thank Marian College for giving me such an opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Sunil Kumar. And my friend Madhu is very sad that he cannot refresh himself. Okay, for Professor Madhu. Okay. Please.
Oh, thank you. I'm so sorry that I couldn't present my arguments in as a whole, but still I could point out something. The closing down of theaters due to this pandemic, it has cost a lot to the commercial cinema. It's real. It's true. There is no release. There is all the investment is blocked. So therefore no new ventures are coming out. So it is all true. But there is space for alternate filmmaking. The space for alternate filmmaking has gone up. Even in our Kerala, the alternative filmmakers are trying hard to cope with the old situation. Now in the new situation, they have more arenas to explore. I think that is one of the major prospects of the post-COVID challenge. And another thing is, as everybody was telling, let the online platforms are there. Okay, whoever wants to see, as far as I am concerned, I never go to a theater for watching film for so many years, apart from the film festival viewing. So I watch film in my computer only. So it is, whether it is a new generation or old generation, it is not a problem. But I was talking about the ambience that you create, that is created in a film festival atmosphere, and that is directly proportional to the creation of film culture, which is very essential for a film viewer or a film enthusiast or a filmmaker or a film producer or whoever it may be. That is what I was trying to point out. Anyway, this will coexist, the online platforms and also the theaters. You can't close down the theaters forever. It will be opened. It should be opened in one day or other. So let these things go hand in hand so that we can enjoy more cinema. And even our FFSI is seriously conducting a lot of film festivals, and Viprasi was conducting a lot of film festivals. So likewise, we have so many opportunities to watch films especially the classic movies. It's a new thing because FFSI is conducting, even NFDC is conducting classic film festival. So like that, there are so many opportunities. So let us utilize the opportunities. And for alternate filmmakers, there is a good place for you to be placed in. So let us enjoy good cinema in a better ambience. Thank you.
And
Thank
hope
you,
for the
Marian
better.
College, for
And hope for
inviting
the
me to-
better. Okay, within a few months.
Yeah,
Okay,
naturally.
and I'm now coming to
Thank
the
you.
close of this program. It was really a wonderful brainstorming about one person from far away from Europe and from others from various parts of Kerala. And there are participants from various places in India and even from outside listening to this program. And this was a wonderful time for me, and this is very much self-gratifying to me. And now, and we have discussed many things. We have discussed about the alternatives. We said we are going to coexist, and we said we are losing many things, and we are trying to refresh ourselves. So let this discussion be a refreshing situation for all of us, for all the key speakers, the organizers, as well as the people who are listening to us. And now I call upon Vishnu Vijayakumar.
Thank you, sir.
Vishnu Vijayakumar.
Sir, I'm here, sir.
Oh, to say a few words of thanks. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is with immense joy that I am before you right now. The success of this international webinar is overwhelming despite of all the odds we are facing in the form of a pandemic and the monsoon. The webinar enlightened all of us regarding the challenges faced by the film industry and the future possibilities in the COVID and post-COVID era. It is my pleasant duty to propose the vote of thanks. On behalf of Marian College, Kuttikkanam Autonomous and the Department of Communication and Media Studies, I would like to extend my gratitude to our respected speakers. I would like to thank Sri P.V. Sunil Kumar, Head of Documentation and Outreach Programs of ISRO, for accepting our invitation and sharing his valuable insights. Thank you very much, sir. I would also like to extend my gratitude to Ms. Dalia Alic, European film producer, festival programmer, and former artistic director of South Asian Film Festivals, for sharing a global perspective on the topic and for spending her valuable time with us from the other part of the globe. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. I sincerely thank Dr. C.S. Venkiteswaran, Indian film critic, professor, documentary director, and writer, who wholeheartedly joined us and for shedding a light on a very important topic. Thank you very much, sir. I also extend my deepest gratitude to Professor Madhu, Eravankara, film director, critic, academician, and writer, for sharing his knowledge and experiences with us, and the huge support he has extended us in organizing this webinar. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. And I express my sincere thanks to Professor M. Vijayakumar, Director, Department of Communication and Media Studies, for moderating this session elegantly. The amount of work he has put in to make this event possible is beyond words. Thank you so much, sir, for leading us from the front. I would like to extend my gratitude to the strong leaders of Marian College, Kuttikkanam. I sincerely thank Dr. Roy Abraham P., Principal, Marian College, Kuttikkanam, for his strong support to the Department of Communication and Media Studies in organizing the webinar. I also extend my gratitude to Reverend Father James Kodimala, Manager, Marian College, Kuttikkanam, for being a guiding light in the activities of the department. I also extend my gratitude to Father Sobi Kanalil for all the efforts and sacrifices he made to make the webinar a reality. Thank you, Father. I thank my dear colleagues, Dr. Michael Putandara, Mr. Joby NJ, Ashwin KV, and Elsina Joseph, for the hard work and immense support they have extended to make this possible. I also thank Marian International Institute of Management and Samson sir for providing us with the technical support for running this webinar smoothly. I'm really glad that Anson Thomas and Epan Alexander, our alumni, joined with us for organizing this event successfully. I thank them. I thank all our students and faculty of Marian College, Kuttikkanam, for actively participating in the webinar. Finally, and most importantly, I extend my gratitude to our participants for actively engaging in the event and for finding time to join with us. Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Anyway, I'm saying goodbye. Thanks to all people who have participated in it, especially to the key speakers. It is really, really, really a wonderful, wonderful time with all of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Father Karnadil, now you can.
The Department of Communication and Media Studies started functioning in the year 2017. We are proud for making our presence felt in the media industry within 3 years. Our academic orientation focused on producing media professionals who could work in any media platforms with confidence.
MCMS is a unique blend of theory and practicals. We give ample opportunities for the students to experiment with various media platforms in video production, as well as in creating content for all media platforms.
I'm very glad to note that the students of MA in Communication and Media Studies are very active on campus by participating in various activities organized by other departments, and also happy to see that they come out with large number of innovative programs on campus.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Father Sobi, for the wonderful organizing capability that you have.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Grammar and spelling are important, but if you want to write essays that inspire, messages that forge brighter connections, and emails that get the job done, you think about more than just grammar and
Acho, are you listening? Are you listening to me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can we briefly change over to Google Meet for the organizers?